As we have seen in Taveuni that there's a lot of potentials in agriculture. We mainly deal in grog and dal, basically root crops. So since I think 90% of the people in Taveuni are farmers, and I think it is really important that there should be some form of investment in agriculture sector to be provided here. What I mean to say basically is, for example, we have export for dal. There is no storage, no storage. What I mean is cold storage for dal. Dal is basically sent from here to Suva for processing, right? And then they pack it up in Suva, and then they export from Suva. So if we see like that, the cost rises as it travels down to Suva. So that cost can be covered up and given out to farmers, and farmers will be really happy to produce more. Right? According to me, there is a lot of people who have moved out of Taveuni. Right? So even the younger generation, they look for white collar jobs. But on the other hand, if we see that there is a good amount of money in agriculture, then I think the people of Taveuni will try to save their children to stay back and invest in agriculture. Right? I'm one of the graduates from University of the South Pacific. So as for me, I'm an accountant here in Taveuni, and I've seen that farming is a really enjoyable process, but it depends on how you go with it. So if there's some form of investment coming in from overseas investors and through government links, so I think people will try to stay back in Taveuni and invest more in agriculture to produce dalo and yangona, cassava, all the kind of root crops that we can find here in Taveuni. Thank you.
Noted. For the viewers, the gentleman is concerned about the, is given suggestion about the transportation from Natubu to Taveuni, and he is requesting if there's any investor who would like to invest to get a bigger ship which can bring trucks or cars or other stuff from Buddha Bay or Natubu to Taveuni. Sometimes he says the boat doesn't come here in width, so there's all the stuffs are being held back here like Yangona and Dalo and other root crops. So if there's any potential investors who would like to invest in this, they'll be most happy about it. Dhanyawad.
Investment bill I would like to emphasize on. Investment bill, tourism was the only sector we've been looking through that been invested highly in Taveuni because of these sites that we have. Mostly Tangimodia and Boma, the slides. So, because of this lockdown, I'm focusing on where will we fall. So, as all the through this pandemic, all tourism and every hotels have been locked down. So there was no business coming, no income for the government to these hotels and so everywhere. So I would emphasize that our agriculture ministries, agricultural investment should be a major concern. And as we have seen that all of our brothers and sisters who've been working for the tourism sector, they end up in gardening and farming. So we can encourage our children to have education, but at last they could invest their money so that they can be a major producer so that it can produce food, not only for the living, but for exports and things like this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your. We have noted it, and surely we will pass the message to the relevant authorities. Thank you. धन्यवाद है. अब हम लोग, if there's nothing further on these two bills.
Thank you, Mr. Jiten, for that approach that and suggestion that you have actually given, and the approach that needs to be taken with regards to the investment. One thing that we actually need to realize is, see, when we are actually talking about investment, like for example in agriculture, right? What we are actually looking at is there are a couple of different type of investment that can take place. One, we have local investors who are actually willing to invest, right? Now, in terms of agriculture, there's two type of agriculture sector as well, right? One is subsidiary farming, and the other one is commercial farming, right? So if there is an investment, we would like to see investment into commercial farming. Subsidiary farming is something totally different, and it's basically not covered under the Investment Act or the Investment Fiji Act, right? But what we can actually do is we can actually try to look for potential investors who can actually venture with the local farmers. Let's say, for example, a typical example would be export of cassava, right? There's a lot of export of cassava taking place. Recently, an investor has invested in, I think, somewhere in Western, if I stand to be corrected, but I think it's Bar. So if you people actually have seen, there's a difference between potato chips and potato fries, right? Potato fries, you don't just cut potato and actually fry it, right? You actually mash it, make it into powder form, then you actually deep freeze it into the cubes, and then you actually fry, right? That is known as French fries that you might actually get in McDonald's. Now, because carbohydrate content itself in potato is quite high, there is a healthy option such as cassava chips, because that is gluten free. So our investor has actually invested in a particular factory whereby he is going to actually come up with these cassava chips, right? We have so many cassava farmers in Fiji. There was a Fiji citizen who has actually migrated to Australia. He is actually bringing in cassava chips somewhere from Europe and distributing it in Australia. So he wants those cassava fries, right, the raw cassava fries, if anybody can actually start exporting it from Fiji. So this is what you are actually saying. So an investor has actually stepped in, right, to increase the value of a particular product, right? So cassava might have been exported in couple of cents or dollars per kg, but this is now adding value to it. So that is what you are saying. It's not that we are going to actually invest in a farmer who's actually a subsidiary farming. That is actually done through agriculture, Ministry of Agriculture, right? That is known as substantive farming. But over here, if we are actually going to invest in farming, we need to actually look into commercial farming, right? We know there's two huge commodity in Taveuni, such as Dalo and Yangona, right? So maybe in future somebody might be actually interested in setting up a factory in Taveuni. So investment Fiji's responsibility would be, right, to look for a potential investor who can actually come and invest in a factory in Taveuni and start processing the dalos over here, as the gentleman who was actually speaking before advisory was saying. So this is the responsibility of the investor, Investment Fiji, not just locally but overseas as well. Overseas investors, they can actually come and invest in the sectors and places where our local investors are not investing, and so forth. Or if they are actually trying to collaborate with a local investor to actually invest in a particular place. So that's why we are actually coming up with Investment Fiji. Investment Fiji, in very layman term, would be actually an office setup right, that is going to actually implement the Investment Act that was enacted by the Parliament in June last year. So Investment Act is already there, which actually states how people can come in, how people can actually get registered and so forth. But this office is going to actually ensure that the implementation of this act takes place and how it's going to take place. So that is the difference between what actually advisory was talking about. Hope that actually clarifies. Thank you.
Through you, Honorable Chair, and on behalf of us, the Honorable Members of Parliament, the Standing Committee, on behalf of the Honorable Speaker of Parliament, the Secretary General of Parliament, and the parliamentary staff that are here, I'd like to thank you, Advisor, Mr. Jiten, and also the community in Qila for giving your precious time this evening to attend to this public submission. The committee is quite happy about the turnout and also the knowledge shared today through the discussions. It shows that you all understand the two subjects that has been brought by the committee, or the two bills, the investment bill and also the heritage bill. And the committee has noted your recommendations, your suggestions, and other things that you've suggested in terms of improving the Taveuni economy, as you've suggested. This particular bill, it captures everything. It also captures investment facilitation, export promotion, not only the part when this becomes an act, the investment Fiji will be empowered to promote local Fiji-made products to the overseas market. And that will encourage and attract investors to come to Fiji to invest in various areas. Yeah? That is one of the good thing about this particular bill. It it gives power to investment Fiji to do that. So everything will be known to the market and investors too. They need information to come here. For cover, I think there are other cover markets too around the world. Not only the dried cover that we sell to Lambasa and Suva to overseas, there are also other cover lactones that are now sold in the US, used for medical tablets and all that. That too, probably once this comes in, it also is a new market that Mr. Jiten was telling you we can fall onto that, given the heavy rely on tourism that you mentioned. Eh? But once again, thank you for your support, and I know that all of you would like this to move forward, our country to move forward in development, and that to be done, so the status and thing will improve amongst us. Once again, on behalf of everyone in Parliament, wish you all the best in what you're doing, and also big minagawa level for farming and also generating the income around here, the Taveuni economy, and also you are the ones that are feeding probably the markets and also the citizens around here, and also doing business here despite the effects of COVID. And that you're doing it for your nation, you're doing it for everyone, and God bless you all.